What up, folks? Thank you for joining at another episode of I Think Sports Podcast. This is me, your host, Double D, and today we're going to recap UFC 250 event, which was pretty goddamn spectacular. So, all MMA, all UFC episode for today. Later on, we will definitely have to find some time and talk about NBA and what's going on in that realm. But for now, yeah, it's still all about MMA because it's the only one that's producing content, and they just produced a stellar card of UFC 250. So if you have not watched it just yet, check it out. Please do so, and then watch this recap because there's a ton of great stuff to talk about. So yeah, this is what we're discussing today, and before we do that, just a short music intro. All right, so we are record this June 10th in tropical Vilnius, Lithuania. Tropical as hell. I mean, we have everything: thunderstorms, ice falling down of the sky, even tornadoes. It's insane. What can I tell you, folks? I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad to be back myself. And there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to talk about. UFC 250 and really everything that's UFC related nowadays. Jesus Christ, there's so many news, so much news. Not sure on the lingo there, but it's crazy. MMA world is nonstop, especially obviously when I'm saying MMA, I mean UFC predominantly. Not even that. Solely just UFC is in the news. There's a ton of shit going on. But we have to, I mean, even though there's a lot of people that try to steal the thunder, that try to, steal the fans' attention back on them, even though they're not fighting, I don't want to start with that shit. I want to talk about UFC 250, baby. Incredible event. Pretty much exactly what we said it's going to be like. And yeah, let's review it because it's been insane. And obviously we have to start with yeah, just quickly, overall event definitely amazing. Even the prelims were good. Obviously, emotional with Cody Stamen fighting Brian Kelleher and beating him. That was a big one. Cody Stamen losing his brother. I don't know, like last week or something. Essentially before the fight, before he took the fight. A lot of bad blood with him and Kelleher, but they squashed the beef after the fight. It's pretty incredible to see that. Alex Caceres doing his job against Chase Hooper. Too bad for Chase Hooper. And really, Ian Heinisch, man, defeating Gerald Maiscart, that was huge in the first round. So even the prelims did not disappoint. They really provided some narratives. They provided some technique, some blood. Everything in moderation. So definitely a fun card, a fun start of a main card as well. Sean O'Malley and set the tone, and then we go fight by fight into the main event. And what can I say? I mean, the main event, well, it's a bit disappointing, to see that a dominant champion like Amanda Nunes. It's amazing to see her being dominant. It's amazing to see her doing great things, breaking all these records. I completely forgot that this is actually happening in featherweight division, so it's it's a bit of a different setup for Amanda. She's not exactly breaking records in title defenses just yet. Ronda is still a queen in that regard. But Amanda is doing that in two divisions, and she's done it successfully now. I think she's the only one. I mean, Cejudo defended his belt, so shout out to that guy. And we're gonna talk about him later on. But Amanda Nunes, man, she's incredible. She's defending two belts, doing that successfully, doing that in very dominant fashion. However, I mean, Felicia Spencer, there's an argument she had no business being there, and it's not even an argument. It's fucking blatant that she does not belong in the same cage with Amanda. Uh, yeah, unanimous decision 50-45, 50-45, 50-40. I'm sorry, 50-44, 50-44, and 50-45. You got to be fucking crazy not giving at least one of those rounds, a 10-8 rounds to Amanda. There's a good chance that a couple should have been given. So that should have been unanimous with the judges. For some reason, only one round has been given. Although who knows? Maybe those two judges that give 10-8 round, maybe they gave those rounds on separate. They give 10-8s on separate rounds. That could be possible as well. But to have one judge actually not giving 10-8s at all, that's goddamn insane. It's still, still judging at its worst. Obviously, in this case, it's not much of anything, a point of discussion because Amanda was so dominant, and in the end, it didn't make a difference. She performed a complete shutout against Felicia. But yeah, it's just a bummer that we're crowning this queen. We're talking about her greatness, and this is the main event. Actually, this is what it's all about. This is why people should be buying the pay-per-view. Usually, the main event is the one that generates all the hoopla and all the money. This was not that. And even if you were expecting it, there was just no chance that it could deliver it because Felicia is just completely not in the same realm that Amanda is. Commentators were talking about that even Amanda is on a different realm compared to Cyborg, which I thought is a little bit insane. But, if Cyborg is not on the same level with Amanda, where the fuck is Felicia? I mean, she's like 3 realms below Amanda. And yeah, it happened just like we thought it will. As I mentioned before, it just doesn't look like Felicia really has anything working for her. A lot of people believe that maybe it's going to be size and all that. And once I found out that this is a featherweight, once I got remembered, it's weird. I mean, I talked about Felicia being the only chick surviving Cyborg in a way that she actually endured all 5 rounds and went to a decision with her. I completely blacked out on the fact that Cyborg is a featherweight, so Felicia is a featherweight as well. And didn't register that fact that Amanda is actually going to be fighting at featherweight division, defending that belt. So yeah, I didn't think about the size. I didn't think it's going to matter. And again, I guess rightfully so because Felicia did seem just a little bit bigger, but again, it's not muscle bigger. She just looks like a regular soccer mom out there. She's got a gut. She's got floppy arms in a lot of ways. She's not built like a striker, like a wrestler, like anything like that. She's built like a grappler. I mean, grapples can look that way, but even then, it's tough. You gotta be able to pull some athleticism. Have some explosiveness out there, and Felicia doesn't seem like she has that at all. So I wasn't scared for Amanda in any way. And I was not seeing any way that Felicia can actually surprise us. Although surprises do happen, but yeah, this was so unlikely because she doesn't have anything besides her size, which was not even that evident in the fight. And the strength was actually on Amanda's side. Amanda didn't look shredded herself either. She looked kind of, with the gut and all that. But that's how she looks at the featherweight. Before she fought Cyborg, I was actually concerned that she does look a bit heavy, but actually that helped her because she still had the speed and, being heavy added some power to her. So she finished off Cyborg. With Felicia, she looked just as heavy. And man, Felicia can take a punch. I mean, Amanda hit her with some bombs. Right in the first round, she hits her flat out straight to the jaw. And Felicia just walks through it. I mean, to me, that was concerning. Once I started judging this fight, looking at this fight as a featherweight, based on previous experiences with Amanda where she gasses out, to me that was a concern. I mean, it hasn't been a concern for quite some time at the bantamweight division, but I thought coming in heavier and just, throwing punches, everything that she can to Felicia, and Felicia just walking through it. I was wondering, is there going to be a time where Amanda will kind of stop and gas out? But again, as pointed perfectly by Daniel Cormier, Amanda was fighting at Amanda's pace, and that helped her to sustain her gas tank. Because again, as pointed perfectly by Daniel Cormier, you know, Amanda did not have to fight out of any positions. She has not been put into any uncomfortable positions. All she did was, fought at her own pace. She dictated where the fight goes. Uh, and she wasn't her skills, her durability was not tested because she actually decided where the fight takes place. And when she strikes with you, when she grapples with you, how frequently does she strike with you? The pace was hers. The location of a fight, so to speak, was dictated by her as well. Felicia just did not bring anything to the table there. So Amanda just felt very comfortable, and she fought at her own frequency. And when you're not put in any discomfort, you're not tense. You don't tensify too much. You're actually very comfortable in your own skin. And that's why, you can go for days. At the pace that you know that you can endure, you can go, for, as John Anik said, it seems like she can go for 10 rounds. Of course she can, because she fights, the way she wants to fight. She was not forced to adjust to Felicia's game one bit. So that can still be some sort of a caveat. That can still be something that we could see coming from a different competitor, maybe exposing in Amanda's game. I'm not even saying that she has that flaw, but I wonder. I wonder. At the heavier weight class, with more athletic, more skilled person who can actually give her some problems, put her into those uncomfortable positions, just make her second guess a little bit and make her work just a little bit. I wonder if that couldn't be the game changer, and we still might see an upset. I think that's still one thing. If you want to answer any questions, that might still be probably the final answer, the final question rather, that we would need to see answered. And perhaps somebody like Megan Anderson, who's big, strong, powerful, athletic, maybe that could be offered by her. I know that she lost to Felicia, and people will say, "Well, she lost to Felicia, so how can she at all, try to stand and bang and and try to actually dethrone the greatest, who actually just annihilated Felicia? How can she stand with Amanda?" But MMA math never works, or at least it works rarely. And it's not anything. It's not everything in this world. So I would still be interested to see that fight, because there's just nobody else. There's just nobody else, at least in the featherweight division, and I mean nobody else, that we could and should be interested in seeing Amanda fighting now. To me, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, because people will say that we already seen it. Amanda has been there, done that, and done it twice, actually. But to me, it's still the only fight that I see happening, the only fight that is entertaining for the fans, and worthwhile actually, paying money, is Shevchenko fight. That's it. I mean, Amanda has cleaned out both divisions, and Shevchenko still posed some questions. Shevchenko still made a legit case of actually winning that second fight. First one for sure. If that was a 5-rounder, Shevchenko wins it. I mean, you cannot say that she wins it for sure, obviously, but man, she was close. And she was looking good. She was looking like, she's on the right track to win this thing. But obviously, it was a 3-rounder. Then finally, in a 5-rounder for the title, when they faced each other a second time, Amanda was a different fighter. She adjusted. She was way better. And let's give it a chance to Shevchenko actually now to adjust and be better. I still feel like that third fight is warranted. Shevchenko is just so much smaller, but she's so great. She's powerful. She's technical. And she's strong and she's good everywhere, and she does not gas out. She's very cerebral. Oh man, I mean, I'm still very very interested in that fight. I wish they could make it happen somehow. If you're Amanda, obviously, I don't think that you're interested in it, and obviously Amanda will dictate whoever she fights next. She's got the right to do so. But I feel like, if you really want to call yourself, the ultimate warrior, the ultimate warrior in you should actually feel the urge to prove everybody wrong. Because there's always that debate, There's no debate against Cyborg. There's no debate against Ronda. There's no debate against anybody that Amanda has faced. Maybe Kat Zingano, but I mean that happened such a long time ago that nobody really cares. But they still will mention Kat Zingano as well. The last time Amanda lost, Kat did it. But besides that, Shevchenko is that asterisk, to Amanda's name. Maybe not really asterisk. Maybe that's not the right word, but that's a topic to mention whenever we talk about Amanda and her greatness. That yeah, she's great. She's pretty much has gone through everybody like a knife through a butter, but except this chick. Shevchenko really made it competitive, and it was exciting and technical and fun to watch. So yeah, I have no problem revisiting that. Besides that fight in a bantamweight, even I don't know who she could fight in a featherweight. I could still see her fighting Megan Anderson if Megan makes a good case. If she knocks some other chick out again, oh yeah, put her on there. I mean, that's all you need, just a few fights. Just make a little splash, and that will be good enough. For you to have a title shot actually. So that is very possible to happen. But in the meantime, yeah, Amanda is the queen, dethroned, undisputed, that's for sure. And really, it doesn't seem like it's going to end until she says that she quits. It's at this moment, the only person who could end this run is probably Amanda herself, which is spectacular. So yeah, that was the main event, and really not the most exciting thing to watch, compared to what the rest of the card really offered to us. And let's start with a bang. Cody Garbrandt against Rafael Assunção. Jesus goddamn Christ. Oh my goodness. Cody Garbrandt looked amazing against a guy who nobody really looks that great. It's hard to look like a world beater against Assunção. Assunção was killed as hell. He's, again, very composed. He doesn't do a lot of mistakes. He just keeps his own pace, tries to figure you out. Again, very well pointed out by Daniel. And it seemed like in the second round, he already started to gain some knowledge over Cody and, really adjusted to Cody's game. But then, Cody does what Cody does, and he's just kind of improvising, feeling loose or whatever, and trying to, I don't know, it's trying to lure Rafael to make a mistake. And man, that's what I don't get it. You can see it from a mile away that Cody is about to throw a fucking haymaker, from hell. But Rafael still tries to strike with Cody in that particular situation. I feel like Rafael just should have, kept his hands high and maybe try to kick him or whatever. Because, Cody was susceptible to a kick, a knee. I mean, if Rafael makes a different decision, this could have been another epic fallout for Cody. But instead, he decides to strike with Cody, and Cody's got that one big hell of a punch. I mean, he swung it not from his hip, not from his thighs, from his fucking knee, So that power from him getting not only, side to side, but actually also getting upward, it was the ultimate kill shot, that could have finished the fucking heavyweight. And yeah, right at the buzzer, that's another thing. Right at the bell, 4:59 in a second round, he throws this lethal haymaker, and Assunção goes down like a sack of potatoes, man. And Cody just walks away with hands held high. I mean, my God, one of the best. How crazy is it that we saw historical, two epic walk away KOs in one fight card? Unbelievable. And this was just extra crispy because it happened at the last second of a second round. And after that, I mean, Rafael was still badly hurt. He was so wobbly. I've never seen a Sansao being this hurt. And he was, having trouble to sit on a stool. He was actually falling off the stool. Thank God there were a couple of people actually watching him, and they stopped that from happening. Then they took a stool away, and he was trying to sit down. I mean, it was a maddening sight to see. So yeah, Cody Garbrandt is back in the winning column with a bang. And what can you say about him right now? I mean, there's a reason why he was not a underdog even after a three fight losing streak. Cody Garbrandt was still favored to beat Sun Sao. And I felt like he can do it myself, and the reason why the odds makers, why myself, all of us have felt that way is because of that power, of that skill set. His speed is just remarkable. Asansao just couldn't find him at the first round, especially. He was like a ghost. And obviously, Asansao himself, he's what we talked about this already. I think he's 38, or maybe 39 even. So he's pushing pretty much his last MMA competitive years, at least competitive for sure. Oh, he's 37. But still, I mean, for a little guy, even 35 would be almost too much, And he's 37, and he's on a bit of a skid, 3-fight losing streak now. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Rafael, and for Cody. I mean, now he's back in town. He's one of the hottest things to talk about in the bantamweight division again. And how about those bantamweights, man? This fight card really showed, man, how deep that division is, and it's got a future. Not only it's deep right here, right now, it's super exciting. I cannot wait to watch, the title fights and everything, falling into one place. But also the future of this division is in great, great hands because all these fighters are young and they're just getting better and better. So, yeah, and Cody might be the present thing, actually. Cody's so good. Let's not forget what he did to Dominic Cruz. And he was pretty close of finishing TJ pretty much both times. But TJ just had that lucky hand. So Cody can still be the champ without an issue, without a problem. The way he fights, going to Mark Henry's really helped him. And he kept his composure. I always, throughout the entire fight, I was looking for him I try to gauge whether he's going to lose his temper, whether he's going to lose his composure. And you could argue that maybe he did that exactly that at the end of the second round, when he just put his hands down against the cage and just, starts doing crazy shit. But then out of nowhere, he takes the rabbit out of his ass and, oh my God, just annihilated Assunção with one heck of a punch. What an incredible knockout. If you have not seen this fight, oh my goodness, you did miss on something special. So miss out on something special. So please check it out, however you can. You must. If you're a fan, you must do that. This was insane. So great for Cody. I don't know where he's going from here. Talking some shit about Sean O'Malley, I guess, but they're in a different leagues. Cody is pretty much he's ready for a title shot again. After such a statement against the guy who it's tough to look great against, and it's tough to finish him. I mean, let me just take a look. A knockout. Has there ever been a knock? Oh, Eric Koch finished a Sunsao, but that was 9 years ago. I mean, Eric Koch at one point was a hot prospect. He did fight. He was about to fight Aldo, but he ran into Ricardo Lamas, and Lamas just elbowed the shit out of him. But up until that, Koch was a hot prospect, so I'm not that surprised. He was a guy who did knock a lot of dudes out. So yeah, his last knockout, Assunção, last time he got knocked out was 9 years ago. And he had fought some respectable opponents, TJ Dillashaw including, twice actually. So yeah, great for Cody to do this. Unbelievable. Even right now, when I'm thinking about it, I'm speechless. That was that was a hell of a fight for him. And I'm so happy for him that he's back now. He's back on track. There's been a lot of questions. He's probably been the most talked about fighter throughout the weekend. And he delivered. He delivered. He's back on track, and he's now ready to take that throne again. And oh man, I would love to see him against Piotr Jan. But let's talk about a person who's actually gonna get a chance to see either Piotr Jan or Jose Aldo. He's gonna fight for the title no matter what, that's for sure. And that's Aljamain Sterling. The way he defeated Corey Sandhagen, two hot prospects. Again, bantamweight division is in such a great hands with these guys. Corey Sandhagen has been on a nice winning streak. He has just defeated Rafael Sansao himself, so he was looking very hot. And Aljamain, he has fought some tough dudes, and he had some setbacks, but he also had a very respectable winning streak. He fought some killers like Jimmy Rivera and Pedro Munoz, beat those guys. So he was ready to blossom as well in this fight. And my God, did he do that? First of all, he looked shredded as fuck. He was super, super shredded. He looked in the best shape of his life, that's for sure. I mean, veins were going out of his shoulders. And, he starts very quick, and he starts kind of confusing with the footwork, changing stances, and just, right into Sandhagen's face immediately. And then just out of nowhere, takes his back, and he's about to choke him out. It's not exactly under the chin. Sandhagen fights it off like a professional that he is. But, you still got Aljamain on his back. Aljamain locks a body triangle on him, and Corey cannot shake it off because it's so early in a fight. And within the next 30 seconds, Aljamain adjusts, puts one hand under the chin, and then adjusts again and puts his hand, the other arm, not a hand under the chin, but an arm under Corey Sandhagen's chin. And then once he rolls, he puts his other arm behind Corey's back, and that's all she wrote. Corey tries to fight it, tries to struggle, but he cannot fight it off anyway, and he's just going to sleep eventually, tapping out while going to sleep. I mean, incredible. Aljamain Sterling did it like a champ, baby. And again, that's nothing to take away from Corey. I mean, Corey is still a beast. He's still going to be very relevant. He's going to bounce back after this, and who knows? Usually when guys are so young, it's fun to see them early, but it's even more fun to see them later on once both fighters are completely different, and different in the good way. I mean, experienced and have gone through the ringer and, actually beat the crap out of everybody. Then that next appearance, that next time to see each other, it's pretty special. So I wonder if we get to see that. But either way, at this moment, Aljamain Sterling is the man. He's the top contender, and he should. I mean, again, he is supposed to fight Piotr Jan. Why do we have Aldo fighting Jan? I hope they can take that away. I'm interested to see that fight. That's for sure. But it's just not that right time. We're talking about bantamweight division now being elite. It's one of the elites right now. They have prospects from top to bottom, young prospects, current prospects, guys that made the name for themselves, guys that deserve actually to fight for the title, legitimately so. Aldo, unfortunately, he's not that. He's still an exciting fighter. I think he won against Marlon Moraes, but even that, he didn't in the judges' eyes. So officially he's coming off a loss, and now he's getting a title shot. That's a bit insane. I would understand it if the division is not deep, but it's fucking deep. We got Garbrandt here. We got Aljamain here. So I'm hoping that maybe they can retract that fight. Maybe, let Garbrandt fight Aldo. I would love to see that happening. And let Aljamain actually get his title shot right here, right now against Jan, because that would be something. That would be something to watch. I would bet on Jan, but man, I love Aljo. He's a hell of a performer, and such a great grappler. It's just so fun to watch. The Funk Master. Oh yeah. So yeah, those two fights were incredible. The main event was the main event. Just a display of how amazing Amanda Nunes is as a champion. The other fight was Neil Magny against Anthony Rocco Martin. Well, look, I mean, nobody's expected anything else but this, pretty much. Neil Magny did what Neil Magny does, dominated. Actually, you know what? This was interesting because I don't know. I thought that Rocco Martin won at least one round, and there's a good argument that he won the first two. He definitely lost the third round, where Magny just picked up a pace and was, ready to go. Although still didn't do much with it. Rocco still answered Magny's attacks with some lethal shots, and Magny was getting kind of hurt at the end out there. But still, Magny won that third round for sure. The first two, I'm not so sure that they should have gone to Neil. And actually, two judges gave it all to Neil, and only one gave it 29-28. But all of them actually gave it a win to Neil Magny, which was a little bit interesting. But anyway, I mean, the fight was what it was. It was interesting, but nothing compared to what we have seen at the previous fight, for example, which is Sean O'Malley against Eddie Wineland. Let's skip Neil Magny talk and let's talk about Sean O'Malley. Jesus Christ. Wow. Another heck of a performance. And again, set the tone for the rest of the card to look spectacular. Another bantamweight, by the way. Sean O'Malley, up and comer, really fan favorite, really beloved by the community, by the fans, by everybody, by the wheat community, that's for sure. He's presenting himself this freestyler, rock and roller, or something like that. Diaz brothers type of a fighter, where he just, if he's not fighting, he's smoking weed and just then after that he's just killing fools. This guy is incredible. He's got the tats, he's got the hairdo, he's got the swagger, he's got the character, and the way he fights is just unbelievable. I mean, Eddie Wineland is no joke. Nobody does that to Eddie Wineland, by the way. Wineland, we looked it up the last time. I think he's 35. Yeah. So, obviously older, and again, this when you talk about these small guys, after you're 30, it's tough. It's usually tough to get around for these guys, but still respected, still has a knockout power. He has, really knocked out some dudes out of here. Yeah, that's a great expression. So, you couldn't expect that Sean is going to do exactly what he did. Not at all. I mean, I thought that this is going to be a tough one. And I think we did discuss that this might not go to a finish. A finish might be, a vicious knockout from one party or the other. But I did not expect, Sean just doing such a easy work against Eddie. That's the thing about O'Malley. He's looking like he's just having a time of his life and just blasting everybody out of nowhere at ease. That's when when somebody's great. When what they do makes you think that this is easy, and he makes it all look super easy. He did the same thing against Quinones. Quinones seemed like just he cannot touch or even see Sean. And the same thing here. I mean, Sean hurt Eddie apparently, and I don't know if Eddie was recovered. When I watched the replay, it did seem like Eddie was actually okay. But how the hell he did not see that punch coming? I mean, to me, that was so puzzling about this whole experience. It seemed to me at first that Eddie was just already out of it, most likely. And, Sean just saw that and just straight punched him right to the face. But when you look at the replay, Eddie's eyes were open. He was looking exactly where he was supposed to be. He wasn't dazed. He didn't seem dazed. He didn't seem out of it. But yet, Sean just saw an opening and he's just like, oh, thank you, blam. And, that was it. Eddie took a punch right to the jaw and Sean didn't even bother to follow up. It was another walkout. I mean, Sean just raised his hands and said, yeah, thank you very much for that. And it was cool. Eddie after the fight said, yo, man, nice catch. It was all respect after that. So incredible. I love Eddie Wineland. And I hate to see him go down this way. But man, that was spectacular. And now I cannot wait to see Sean O'Malley again. I cannot wait. I mean, he's talking some shit about Cody Garbrandt that he's going to knock him out too. And I do see some similarities between him and Eddie, actually. But yeah, man, be careful what you wish for. I mean, Cody's in a different level, power wise, speed wise, talent wise as well, especially now with the kicks that he's throwing. He's far from just Eddie Wineland type of a boxer. First of all, he's a wrestler. Let's not forget that. And now he's a great kickboxer. And, in terms of his hands, yeah, they got some heat too. So I would love to see that fight eventually at some point, but not right now. Sean still needs to do some climbing up the rankings. Just don't ruin this dude. Just give him the right opponents. Make sure that he's perfectly, properly nurtured until he's finally ready to face, top of the top. But yeah, he's going up there. Eddie Wineland is still a very legitimate opponent. And yeah, Sean O'Malley took care of business. So there you go. UFC 250, man, delivered some gems, and especially about the bantamweight division. Now we can safely say the bantamweight division is in the best hands possible. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next with all of those guys. Especially with Aljo, I really hope that UFC rethinks it, because as far as I understand, nothing is official. Dana made the announcement, which usually is considered to be official because he doesn't make any unofficial stuff like that. Well, sometimes he does, but usually, it's pretty legit once he says it is. Once he says that that's the fight. But in this case, apparently it was not exactly official, so perhaps they could retract, that notion that Aldo is fighting Petr Yan and, hook him up with Aljo, because that would be a sight to see. I mean, that's exactly what we need to see, what we want to see. I think, both guys are deserving of it so much that there's just no question. So I would absolutely love that fight to actually take place now. Okay, but we also have to talk about some other stuff. And yeah, there's been a lot of guys that were trying to steal the thunder of this fight card, and I really hate that shit when that happens. Most especially Connor. I mean, Connor, what the fuck are you doing? Connor actually said that he's retiring, and apparently that's the third time. I don't remember the second one. Maybe it was after Khabib fight, once he got his ass beat. Then I do remember the first one, once he got his ass beat by Diaz, by Nate. But yeah, this is the third time he's actually saying that this is what, this is it. He doesn't have anything else to fight for. And I totally agree. I actually completely agree. He's made all the money. Why bother going against some fucking animal like, Tony Ferguson or Justin Gaethje, who are going to put you through a ringer, and you will be risking to be cut, to be brain damaged, to be all of the above. So why risk it? He's done a beautiful performance. He came back looking better than ever. He won. I really don't believe that he's actually retiring, but to do that right after UFC 250, I thought it was lame, even for Connor. I mean, Connor is always topic of the hour. He's always the biggest show in the town. But at this moment, I don't know. I just didn't like it, and hearing it about the same fucking thing for a third time, it's redundant. It's gonna look especially stupid if Connor actually does come back. And which does seem to me that this is going to be the case. It does seem to me that Connor is going to come back. I have no basis on saying that, but I just, my inner gut feeling, I guess. But yeah, the other news, and I think Connor touched on that as well, that they just don't get paid enough. And Masvidal now is fucking vocal as hell. I mean, he's got research done and everything. He's talking about the percentages and talking about the stock market. He's covering all the bases, and it's driving Dana insane. And obviously, we already had some issues. Dana had some issues with John Jones already. So this train is not stopping. It's actually, if anything, is gaining more momentum. And fighters now are talking about being deserving of more payday. To me, I see one problem with it. When fighters make more money, all of a sudden they stop fighting. And it's not a problem in a sense that, oh my god, the fighters, the athletes, the ones that actually generate the revenues are not actually getting paid what they're worth. It's not a problem in there. Obviously, I want to see them getting paid. But as a fan, I'm a bit conflicted because that we saw that with Diaz brothers, especially with Nate. Once Nate made all that money from Connor, he started. He even before he was a nutcase, obviously going. What's the expression? Marching on the beat of his own drum. Even before that, all of it was happening. But after Connor fight, he said, "That's it. I don't need more money. All you will never hear from me again." I think Dana said that as well. I'm sure he's set for life. He doesn't need more money anymore. So why would he be fighting? And you can see that trend with a lot of fighters. Once they start making just a little bit more than usual, all of a sudden you start hearing about retiring. All of a sudden you start hearing about this is not worth the money. This is not this. This is not that. So as a fan, we're starting not to get all those fights where best fight the best. Where the most deserving fights the most deserving, and that's why we have to make up some bullshit belt. We need to make up, interim title out of our asses. Something needs to be done in order to, to draw some more attention on the subject about who's fighting. So, yeah, as a fans, this is not fun for us. This is not great. It seems like these fighters, whenever they just get just a little bit more, they get spoiled real fast, and they start picking fights. They just become that much harder to deal with. Now, is that a legit reason to say this is why UFC doesn't pay all their fighters their due? Of course not. But it's something to think about, and I think that we all should be honest with ourselves and and really ask ourselves whether we do want to see them being millionaires, but never get to see them fight. Just like what's happening with in boxing. All the top fighters, they do great, of course, but it's everything on their terms. And when it is, you never know when you're going to get to see them. You know, it, of course, they will start fighting like once a year because nobody wants to fight like 3 times a year. And, even then, even if you see them once a year, most likely it will not be against the opponent that you really, really want to see them fighting against. So forget about Connor and, and Jorge if those are the terms. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I know one thing: I love John Jones, and I really love Jorge Masvidal, and I want to see them fighting again. So I wish that there are ways for them to resolve it. But Masvidal saying that it's not worth fighting Usman because I made so much more money against Nate. Well, you know you're not exactly Conor McGregor, so you cannot dictate those things. Conor, he can fight whoever, and he's going to generate exactly the same amount of money even if he fights Jorge, because Conor generates that type of attention. For Masvidal, he's very famous. He draws a lot of attention, and I love that he does finally. I think that's been long overdue actually, but he's not exactly Conor, so he does need a dance partner, and it's great when it's Nate. It's great when it's Conor perhaps. But when it's Usman, it's not going to be that great. It's going to be based pretty much on Jorge, but Jorge just does a half of a job. So, he's going to do his part, but his opponent needs to do that too. And Kamaru Usman does not exactly represent the realm of those famous fighters. So yeah, there you go. I think Jorge should rethink what he said. I think, he definitely should be paid more. But complaining about the fact that he's not making more because they're not going to draw much more attention with Kamaru fight. I don't think that's legitimate because of course that's the case. With Nate you're going to make more because Nate is much more popular, as like you would do with Connor. Yeah, so I guess he should fight Colby Covington in that case. If he wants to generate more money. But yeah, I guess again they're independent contractors, so it's a two-way dance. Both parties need to be involved for a dance to work. So we'll see. Jorge is unhappy now. John Jones is unhappy, and the same thing has been said by Henry Cejudo. Now Henry Cejudo says that he financially that was legit reason why he decided to retire. That at this stage, they're not making any super fights. The only fight that Cejudo would come back for is fucking crazy. I mean, he wants to fight Alexander Volkanovski now at the featherweight division. So Jesus Christ, he's actually out for a third belt, and that's the only fight that he would actually get up for, and most likely, obviously, that would generate a lot of money because the third belt and champion versus champion, super fight, blah blah blah. But UFC is not particularly interested in making those fights right now. They're happy to have regular title fights. They're more than happy to have interim title fights, sure. But champion versus champion, so-called quote unquote super fights, not happening. Not right now. So I guess Cejudo is not going to be coming back anytime soon either. And he's a champion. He's a two-way champion. He's a two-belt holder. Holds two belts, cannot make dick. It's insane, but that's how it is. Either you are popular or you're not. And Cejudo, I can see some reasons why he's not. It takes some time to actually generate it. And just being a scum and actually releasing funny videos talking about Waldo, wink wink. I mean, we know that he's talking about Jose Aldo. That is not going to do it. That's not going to do it. And, you need to get into some scandals, perhaps. You need to be a bit more outlandish, or you just, need to speak the truth and do the work in the cage out there. And also, let your work do the speaking for yourself. So Hudo kind of did that in one regard, but at the same time, I don't think he got a lot of positive fan attention, from making those silly videos and making fun of everybody. I don't know. I just don't see that as being the best tactic. So yeah, either you're generating those that attention or you're not, and that's the only way you can generate some money. Where I see a problem is with John Jones, because John Jones does generate a lot of attention, and he does draw. He headlines. He's always headlining a pay per view, and he's done some epic fights, and he's got a scandalous personality. And he's not exactly, a fan favorite, but at the same time, he's been the most dominant that we have ever seen, all these other things. So of course, he will be. It will always be an interesting sight to see whether John Jones will be dethroned. So he's got that working for him, and that helps him generate attention. And that helps him to, well, that at least helps UFC to generate a ton of money. But John Jones doesn't see exactly that fair share out there. So again, I do see Jorge's, John's point, and even Henry's. I mean, still, even if he does draw or not, I mean, the guy has been pretty much flawless ever since that first meeting with DJ where he lost. Well, he lost to Benavides as well, I think. But anyway, guys got two belts. I mean, that should give you something. But ask Amanda Nunes, how's that working for her? For some people, fans just don't give a shit about, and Henry's apparently one of them. Interesting fact is that Jorge and John, they're both attention drawers. That's for sure. I don't know, guys. I'm just rambling out here. Actually, let's talk about some upcoming fights, some fights that's been announced, because yeah, there's been some good ones. So yeah, there's been a couple great ones announced. First off, Alexander Gustafsson is coming out of retirement against Fabricio Verdum. So he's going to heavyweight division, and from what I've heard from Brendan Schaub, who trained with Gustafsson at one point, he says this multiple times. He said this multiple times, and he keeps preaching it, that he's done some work on heavyweights. Absolute work. He talks the same way about John Jones, by the way. So, that just tells you, like, wow, these guys are actually they can do some real legitimate damage at heavyweight division if they wanted to. And great, Gustafsson's actually doing this right now. John Jones needs to wait for his debut just a little bit at the heavyweight division. But great, we have some fresh blood out there. Gustafsson against Verdum. I cannot wait to see that fight. I mean, it's gonna be tough for Gustafsson. Verdum, I know he looked shitty. He looked shitty in his comeback, but he's been out for 2 years because of some USADA violation. I think he's been suspended for some legit PEDs. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really say here. He just got suspended for 18 months, actually. So not exactly 2 years, but I think before the fight got made and everything. So yeah, it took him a while. It took him a while to come back, and once he did against Alexei Oleinik, yeah, he just did not look that good. At least physically, he did not look that good. I mean, he had his chances, but Oleinik still seemed like he's about to kick his ass. And yeah, Verdum lost that one. But, now that he's got that first warrant to knock some rust off, now he can focus on Gustafsson. And man, Gustafsson is quick. He's not exactly powerful, but he's got some power. At least at the light heavyweight division, he was capable of putting people away. And he's got crisp boxing. He's got amazing footwork. He is fast. He's got long reach. And still is powerful. He is very strong, good wrestler, great wrestling defense. Well, takedown defense. I don't know. Verdum is going to have a handful in this one, but still, there's a lot of unknowns, and it's pretty fun actually. I'm happy that Gustafsson is actually unretiring. Again, that's why Connor, Cejudo, all that retirement shit is just so ridiculous, because all these fighters eventually they still get back. They get a niche and they come back, and it's awesome to see them. But, I wish I could see them all the time. But yeah, it's not always the case. So yeah, that's a heck of a fight, and it's happening pretty soon, actually, July 25th. So, well, 6 weeks from now, more or less, maybe 7 weeks. And they're gonna join Darren Till versus Robert Whitaker, which is banging fights. Cannot wait for that. And I really can wait for Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, who still does this fucking thing, against Mauricio Hua, who also does this fucking thing. I mean, two fucking fossils fighting for it. I mean, great legends. Nobody can say it otherwise, that's for sure. But I just really don't want to see them fighting again, and yet they're doing this again. So anyway, that's a great addition. At least to Till and Whitaker fight, that's a beautiful addition of Gustafsson and Verdum. Whenever it's a heavyweight fight and two skilled heavyweights, haven't seen Gustafsson being a heavyweight just yet, but we're about to see it, and we know how great of a light heavyweight he was. So I don't expect him to be nothing short of that. So yeah, this is very, very exciting. A lot of questions from both fighters to be answered. Great. And speaking about heavyweights, another amazing fight has been announced, which was deemed to happen, at some point. We all knew that this is where it's all coming down to. Stipe Miocic fighting Daniel Cormier. It's on, baby. It's on. It's going to take place in August 15th, UFC 252. I guess they don't have the location just yet, but maybe this is Fight Island. I'm not sure. But yeah, the third fight is finally set, and we're going to get to see the rubber match, the finalization. Oh, yeah. I'm really rooting for Daniel. Stipe had a great run, and I was super excited for Daniel when he finally knocked him out because, of getting those two belts and what happened with John Jones. I mean, just so much fuckery with, that whole nonsense with him and John. And that, actually set him up with a possible third fight with John at heavyweight division. But yet, he takes Miocic's fight, does the right thing, hands him a rematch, and he didn't do the best thing. He didn't do the greatest work out there because he was kind of not listening to his coaches. He wanted to stand and bang with Stipe. tired himself out really, and Stipe capitalized on that. The champ that he is, he was able to find a way to win. So to me, it was like, man, what a party pooper, but not from Stipe's side of things, but really from Daniels. It's just like it seems like almost like he didn't take this seriously enough, which is so uncharacteristic to DC. I mean, the guy is ultimate professional. He's been, nothing but perfect everywhere he goes. And yeah, he fucked up in this one, majorly. So I want to see him actually clear his name, get that title, vacate it, retire, and let Francis Ngannou finally, have a dance partner for the belt. So yeah, ton of exciting things. UFC definitely is delivering what we need. A ton of drama, a ton of a ton of stories to watch for, and yeah, every single day it's just this pay stuff is just out there in everyone's faces. So I cannot wait to see and find out what else is out there for us to find out. And it would be fun to see if actually UFC does budge and give Jones and Masvidal what they want, what they feel like they're worth. I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I think it's just going to be a prolonged back and forth via Twitter shit, and maybe some specials on ESPN, some special interview that both parties going to get and all that. But I don't think that we will get a finalization to this, because at first it just seemed like a John Jones and Dana White issue. Now it seems that it goes deeper than that. Fighters actually are kind of unionizing without even knowing that by themselves right now, but they are doing that without a presence of union, but just from sheer disappointment in what they get paid for. They're kind of actually marching together now against UFC, which is pretty spectacular. That's been long overdue. But yet at the same time, again, I don't think that this really works exactly with the fighting business, because fighting is tough, and for these fighters to be fighting, they need to feel the need to make money. If they don't, then they don't feel the need to show up anymore, which leaves us, the fans, kind of robbed of their presence and of their future performances. That's a selfish way to look at it, I know, but I'm just saying, let's be honest. Again, I'll keep on saying that. I want to see fighters get paid, but I will feel sad, and it would be a bittersweet moment, to see Jorge Masvidal make all the money that he wants, but then kind of picking on his shots and not exactly entertaining us, a couple times per year, and maybe just entertaining us once per couple years. That's also possible. So yeah, UFC is just a hotbed for the news and entertainment and sports, obviously, sports content. Besides that, obviously, we will have NBA coming back, baby. That's so fucking exciting. July 31st is preliminary date set for the comeback. Great stuff. That would be a different topic for a different day, I would think. I would love to get Buddy Al in here and to see his thoughts, what he does think about this. So we'll see if that can be done somehow, some way. But yeah, for now, guys, thank you for listening. This was all UFC episodes. There is a UFC actually happening this week, but fuck that event. I mean, it's boring as hell, and I don't know what UFC's thinking of producing. Hold for a while. You don't need to make an event every goddamn weekend. This could have been easily skipped and actually added on top to some other fights, the weekend afterwards. But anyway, they keep the train rolling, and at least there is something to watch for. I don't know if I won't be entertained by anything else that I'm doing. I will definitely tune in, but at the same time, you shouldn't expect me to break down that fight or do the post review unless something fucking absolutely crazy happens. We're not gonna do that. So yeah, the next time we're coming back, most likely will be an NBA episode, because there's a ton to discuss out there as well. So yeah, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Do the usual work: subscribe, rate, and review on wherever you can. We're available on all the networks, on all the podcast directories, including YouTube. So yeah, just do your work. Be loyal listeners, and yeah, if you want to pop an email, with some questions, with some thoughts about the current situation, please do so as well. Again, that's podcast at ITS for I Think Sports, podcast.its at gmail.com. So yeah, feel free to doing that. And for now, enjoy the summer, enjoy the tropical weather if you're in Lithuania, and enjoy the sports. Until the next time.